best smelling and nicest dressed people walking around the Pioneer Square they'd seen in a long time doing any sort of demonstration. So it was a lot of fun. But I talked to Bill Witt, who came the closest to winning CD1 back when he ran in the 90s, and his campaign staff found two houses, one with I believe 300 people registered to vote at the one house, and one with 400 people. Then they drove by because they thought this was so curious, and the house was barely big enough for one person, let alone 300 or 400. Okay? So then I did a lot of research, and so then we have to go back to the mid-90s, and our current retread governor, Kitzhaber. Kitzhaber hired these two guys, and I found out about this information from Rodney and James Loftus, and then did more research in it. They found, they knew that they couldn't fix my theory. A lot of this is my theory, supposition, but if you don't hypothesize about what you think is happening, you're never going to figure out what is happening. So keep that in mind. So he went out and he hired these two brothers from India, the programmers from Chicago, I believe, to come out here and start this company called Saber Corp in Salem, Oregon, to devise and create a statewide voter registration database. Because if you don't have control of the entire statewide voter registration database, you can't borrow from Multnomah County to pay Yamhill County, and on and on and on. The funny thing about that is, how many people here know of a business that you would start and develop a product that has no market? Does that make any sense to anybody? Okay, he did this in 1995. Until after George Bush's recount and all the hubbub about that, and they developed the Help America Vote Act, or commonly referred to as HAVA. Then in that legislation, they required every state in the country have a statewide voter registration database. So that gave Saber Corp an 8-year head start on developing the statewide voter registration database. Okay? So they developed this, and so when they went, and when states were trying to get HAVA compliant, which means they got their own database set up, it was much easier for them to do it if they just went to a company that had already been doing it for 8 years, Saber Corp. So Saber Corp grew exponentially. They moved into Portland, left Salem, and they became Saber. They were Saber Consulting. They became Saber Corp. Then they got bought by Ross Perot's company, EDS, and then EDS got bought by HP. So now they're Hewlett Packard, Saber. It's kind of, it's all been kind of hodgepodge together, and it's very, very difficult to find out how many states Saber is in. Do you have any idea, Rodney? You don't have no. Okay, okay, but they're all working together. So you got to remember. And I got to put these names up here so that we kind of understand the flow of things. So Saber Corp. Okay, 1995. Okay, so then in 2003 you have HAVA. Okay, so now so Saber gets the contracts in 2006. Contracts for red states that go blue. Okay? So these states that were red went blue once they'd hired Saber to come in and manage their statewide. I don't know all of them. There was it was either, I get them mixed up and dyslexic, Wyoming or was one of them. I believe Colorado was one of them. I'm thinking Maine might have been, but I'm not sure. Most of them were red. There might have been some blue states in there, but in any case.
Colorado.
Yeah, might have been. And so they went, so during that election, what happened in that election? 2006. Did we do real well in 2006, we conservatives? No. We had both the presidency, we had everything up until 2006. 2006, they took control of the entire Congress. Okay? So, now I'm going to bring into it, we're going to get back to what happened after 2006. Now I want to talk to you about a connection between ES and, where's my eraser?
This all started during Clinton too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. This is all ES and S.
During Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and before that, you're right, good point. 1992, we had motor,
Yeah, but it was fertile ground.
we had motor voter in 1992 or 93 actually, 93 under Clinton, okay? So motor voter told every DMV office that you gotta register everybody who gets a driver's license. And that doesn't mean you have to ask them if they're citizens. They should just sign it only if they are citizens. And if they're not citizens, then too bad. But that ushered in this huge, huge number of people that they could put into the statewide, I'll just put this, I don't know, statewide voter registration database, okay? So they flood that, okay? And this is what Saber Corp developed, okay? So now they've got all these identities.
You know, what's interesting is, if I may have a comment, is
Go right ahead.
everybody moves within 3 years, probably even more often than now, and, you know, so, and you got the illegal aliens have been registered, and there's no way of tracking any of that.
No.
So
They've got a wonderful system because they're not. What happens if you register to vote and you move within the same county? They'll just forward, when you put your forward address, they'll just forward your registration. They're still not going to check your citizenship. They're still not going to check your eligibility. They're still not going to check to see if you're a dog, a cat, a long dead relative, or an underage child. So we've got the motor voter turns into the statewide database, just floods it with it. Saber Corp has been working for 8 years to devise this wonderful little mechanism, software package to manage the statewide database. Then HAVA comes on, so that makes, these guys are just like multi-millionaires now. I mean, these guys just went from getting recruited by Kitzhoffer. So you can see a lot of this started here in Oregon. Oregon is the petri dish, if you will, for all this election fraud. So they didn't do too well. They were still fine-tuning it in 2004 election, because they didn't get it. Actually, was it 2004 that they did that? It might have been 2004 that they first started with the red states into the blue states, and then rolled the whole thing out in 2006, because it was wildly successful in 2006. Because they took over all of Congress. Okay, so they took over all of Congress, went blue in 2006. Okay, so what I believe happened was in 2008, it was either 2004 or 2006. But in any case, by the time they got to 2008, they had it rocking and rolling. They got Saber Corp handling it. They've got the ES&S voting machines, and they rocked it out, and they've gotten a lot of it coordinated. But now I have to talk about ES&S. Okay, ES&S is the machines that are in pretty much every state in the country except for my home state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is unique. It's unique in a lot of ways, but it owns their own heart system. Okay. Oklahoma went 100% Mitt Romney this last election. Not one county was a turncoat and then went liberal, went Marxist. Every last one of the counties was red. They own their own system. They have the heart system. It's much more reliable. It's a safer, and thankfully Clackamas County has that one. Yamhill County has it. And I believe Marion County, Curry County might have it, but I'm not sure. But they're the only 4 counties in the entire state that don't have this ES&S. ES&S used to be Diebold machines. Oh. And Diebold was exposed as being easy to fix. And so here's the deal. If you have an ES&S machine, you have to use a certified printer, programmer, and maintenance.
Isn't that interesting?
Maintenance. company. Guess how many, can anybody guess how many of companies that are certified ES&S printer, programmer, and maintenance companies there are in the state of Oregon?
One.
That would be correct, Burton. One. Just one.
Yeah, it wasn't hard to figure.
One. Okay? So it's real easy. There's not, all they have to do is Sabre can coordinate and do the programming to send down to the printing company. In this state, its name is Ryder Election Services and Systems or something like that. And it's out of Bend, Oregon. Bend. Okay?
So there's
So-
no oversight.
So it's all centralized, and just like with the terrorist cells, you only have one, mastermind. He can just direct each terrorist cell. One terrorist cell doesn't know what the other terrorist cell is doing. You got people up at the top, and they're directing Sabre, and they're directing Ryder, and they're directing all the county clerk counties, and the counties are honest, and they're doing what they're told to do. So it's real simple. I just found this as recent information. I just found out when we were doing James's recount in Washington County, and I got some other information from another place too, from Harney County. They apparently does anybody know about the Secretary of State project?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to erase this. You guys got that?
That
Okay.
started under Clinton again too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
George Soros.
thing where
Yeah.
that's the one we got
And
away. She controls the
Yeah.
it
letters.
started off with that terrible
Yeah.
guy that was that guy that was an invalid, here. Before Kate Brown.
Ransky. Oh, Bradbury.
Bradbury, he was just,
Okay, so was he a Secretary of State project? Secretary of State
Yeah,
project.
Soros.
Project. George Soros. Okay, so Kate Brown is one. Kate Brown is definitely one, and Bradbury. Okay,
Yeah, well,
so. Buried. Okay, so they went when they switched with HAVA, okay, in 2003. The county clerks were all told you have to go to a scanning one. You can't use those punch card things. I mean, after all those hanging chads, right? So they had to go to a scanning machine. Well, shoot, we have budgets to deal with all this other stuff. Well, if you want to pick E, S, and S, we'll buy the machines for you, counties. Well, guess what? That's why all of the counties went with ES&S. Because Secretary of State's like paying for them. And I was just down at Multnomah County for James's recount and found out that 3 of them, they are being rented by the Secretary of State, the ES&S machines. Now there are like 6 of them. Okay? So this is all in the little cabal. So it's all the system. They just plug a little thumb drive, USB thumb drive into the side of the little thumb drive into the side of the computer that's sitting there, and they can do what they want. Because here's how it happens. You have these different scanning machines in the elections office, okay? And they put through your paper scanner and they count it. And then all of them take this wire and goes over to this standalone computer. And they have little printing stuff underneath. And each one of these has a zip drive in it too, and it has printers under there too. And this person from Ryder, who in Multnomah County, up until this last election, now maybe this one too, I'm not sure because we kind of put the heat on her pretty badly. Vicki Irvin, who used to be the county clerk for Multnomah County, I just found out it's like 1988 until 2002. She was really pushing hard. Don told me, McIntyre told me, really pushing hard at the time to get all vote by mail. Vote by mail, okay? So she leaves in 2002, and her sales rep, the rep that used to handle, that called on her to print all the ballots for her at Multnomah County elections, his name's Tom Ryder. Well, Tom decides to start his business up as the one and only certified elections printing company in Bend, Oregon, nice little resort area. And so she leaves in 2002. Guess where she goes to work? Who's the first employee that Tom Ryder hired? Vicki. So Vicki gets to come in and program the computers and maintain them if they break down. And so she can go to every county in the state except for the four I mentioned because she works for Ryder, and she's a part-time election worker for Secretary of State during the elections too. Isn't this cozy? So she can go in and she can plug in her stuff into there and make the tallies come out whatever way she wants to. I mean, these things are all going through there and it all looks good, but we don't know if they're all matching up. But I'll tell you, I found out, when the recount came out perfectly, they now have it set up. I don't believe they did in 2010 because all the hinky stuff they did when we were doing Delia's recount. But I do believe they've got it figured out now, and on how to make sure that they actually have exact number of ballots that they're going to program into the computer to say. And I think it has something to do with the sorting machine, because your ballot will come in with the barcode. It'll read it and it'll say that's an R, and it'll give credit for you. So you look up on the computer on the Secretary of State's website, and it'll tell you that's yours. You voted in this day. Oh, great, my vote counted. Well, how do we know your vote counted? Because they could be doing something. There's absolutely no security at the drop boxes. Okay? You drop your ballot off at the drop box, and they got a lock on it, okay? And then a guy comes, picks it up, and he has a lock on it. But he has a key to both of them. And they're supposed to come in pairs of two.
The guy picks it up, has a key to the lockbox?
Oh yeah, he has a key to the lockbox. He has to open up the lockbox, put the ballots in and lock it, and then he relocks the box at the library. And then he heads on back with his partner to drop it off at the county elections. That's the way it's supposed to work. But I got some news for you, and now I'd like Edmund to come up and share his little story with us. Come on up, Edmund.
Well, so
Now, Edmund, you were, to be fair, Edmund was in a HART system. He's not with an ESS system. He's in Clackamas County. I sent out a call to anybody who lived near a drop site to please go at 8 o'clock on election night and watch them pick up the ballots, the last ballots at 8 o'clock, and follow them to the election site. So take it away. Can we get in front of here so people can see you a little bit?
Well, so this was...
And if you want to mark anything or draw anything about that, you're more than welcome.
Sure, thank you. So I followed the call. I actually got email from Terry and Nicole, and I followed the call to arms. So I went to the Milwaukee Library, which was one of the places where they arranged one of the
drop spots.
Dropbox places.
About what time?
I was there a few minutes before 8 o'clock, and I sat in my car, and I was watching. Nothing was particularly exciting there, but
Keep going.
then I noticed, I think 3 boxes, metal boxes, were put in a car that pulled up to the booth. They had a little booth arranged in front of the library, and one more box was carried to another car which was parked in the parking lot at a different location. And then the 2 cars drove away. I followed them very closely.
Wait a minute, before you go further. The first car that pulled up was a kind of an SUV-ish type thing, and they pulled up right next to the booth,
To the
or
booth,
under
yeah.
the booth, and they unlocked to the
yeah,
box, and
yeah,
tell
that-
us a little bit more detail, and exactly where was this other car parked, and when did they enter the picture, and did you become aware of them?
Well, so the first car was, I can't remember the make of the car. I have more details in the email that I sent out, and it may even be in this.
That's okay, it doesn't matter. But
Right.
anyway,
Anyway, they put, I think, 3 boxes in the first car which pulled up. The booth was arranged on the sidewalk, so the car was right in front of the booth, and they just put 3 boxes in the back of the car. And I don't know why they took the 4th box to the other car. Perhaps there wasn't room in the first car, or I don't know.
was the other car parked? I got the impression the other car was parked
Yes.
Kind of like it's sneakily just sitting there like they're on a stakeout in
It
the
didn't,
parking lot.
right, it didn't, well, it was in a parking lot kind of maybe 50 feet away from the booth. So someone carried the last box to the car in the parking lot. However, the two cars left together.
So there was nobody sitting in that car, just somebody from the first car got out of that first car and went and carried one box to another car, got in it and drove it, or was there somebody already in there driving it, or what?
I can't be sure if it was a person from the first car. May have been someone who was sitting in that other car.
But somebody from the other car didn't get out and walk over to the guys picking up the boxes, did they?
To be honest, it's hard to tell because there are a number of people around, and it was hard to tell who to follow. I had a flip cam with me, but I wasn't sure what was worth filming because I wasn't acquainted with anybody who was taking part in the process.
Did it look like two people got out of that car initially, or did it look like there's only one person in the car? Because they're supposed to go in pairs.
I don't know, to be honest. But when I followed the two cars, I think they noticed me following them. From Milwaukee, they went on 99E, which is the McLaughlin Boulevard, and I followed them all the way. I tried to do it discreetly, but they must have figured out that I was following them. And I followed them all the way to the...
Did they take like a longer route than you would have taken to go to the elections office?
No, they taken pretty much the shortest route. But the interesting thing happened when we arrived to the elections office. First of all, it was crowded. The parking lot was almost full everywhere. All the spots were taken. And at that point, one of the cars went one way and the other car went the other way. And I didn't know what to do, which one to follow. There was only one of me. I wish I had another person with me or another car. So what I decided to do was I was circling the building, not exactly circling because the shape of all the parking lots is more like a U letter. You can't go around. But I went around all those spaces, and I positively verified that the second car, which was carrying one box, did not stop anywhere there. They may have stopped half a mile away in the street somewhere where I didn't see them, but they did not. I'm positive they did not stop anywhere in that parking lot surrounding the building. Then I found the first car with 3 boxes parked there, and I hung around for a while, and I saw people taking out those boxes and moving them into the building.
Did you see only 3 boxes, or did you see 4 boxes taken out?
I saw only the boxes that were put in originally.
The 3 boxes?
The 3 boxes. I believe it was 3. I had, if you find that the number was different in my email, then
No,
that's
it
the
was
correct
3.
number.
You said it was 3. Unfortunately, the records from Sherry Hall is that that 4 arrived from that place at that night.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've
Uh-huh.
heard from her.
And Sherry does everybody remember what happened with Sherry Hall and the election fraud in Multnomah, in Clackamas County?
Yeah, the girl got prosecuted.
Yeah, okay.
Not
So
all of it was good.
she was getting, Mac, did you, Mac, wake him up. Okay, there you
Well, I'm gonna know what
Okay,
I'm saying,
Mac,
man.
did you, or do you know anybody that was really close to that situation? Because as I understand it from John Lee, the Secretary of State's office
Kate Brown.
just smothered her and came in there and tried to make it look like it was all her fault and how terrible that she had such a crop. We should call for a recall of her. And so she was really under a whole lot of pressure at this time. And she couldn't watch little details like how many boxes are coming in and all this other stuff. And they are in big trouble, the Secretary of State, because they don't have control over Clackamas County like they do all the ES&S counties, because they have the HART system that they can print up their new ballots if they want to, and it's less expensive, it's much fairer. As a matter of fact, I understand Bain Capital and Mitt Romney's a big investor in it. So they had to move in there and put pressure on her. No mystery as to why the person who's being prosecuted is supposed to lose a Republican, right?
Right,
So-
exactly.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
had to
all
get in
those
there and they had to
Republicans,
get in there
yeah.
that day because they can't fix the whole statewide, because they don't have the population in the other parts of the state in order to make sure that they get the tallies that they need, that Sabre Corp spent so much time, managing and figuring out. I mean, they got a wild card with this Clackamas County.
Is Sherry okay though?
Yeah, Sherry came out good. Sherry was the one that called her and reported her. And that gal that was doing that was
What was she doing actually?
a current registered Republican, even though she previously was a Democrat. She
Oh,
was
she
a
was
clone.
through-
And
And she's going
she
to
used
court.
to work at, and from what John Lee said, she used to work at Multnomah County.
Yes,
And
that's
years
right.
ago, I believe, Rodney, is it your recollection that years ago, I thought Ruth and when we were testifying to county commissioners, that it was kind of common practice for them to enhance a ballot. It
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
look like it was a Democrat ballot, they just go on straight Democrat all the way down the line, or straight
Right.
Republican.
They tried
That was
every-
common practice there. So she moved over to Clackamas. She thinks, oh, no problem, I can do that in these.
They tried every way they could to slam Sherry Hall.
Oh, they sure
and
did.
The truth stood.
They
and-
can't control Sherry Hall. They got a real problem with Clackamas County. Clackamas County, they have a positive for them because it's only one of 3 unionized counties in the state. You've got Multnomah, Clackamas, and Lane County. Lane County is a total can of worms. There he is, Kevin, right?
Yeah.
Good to see you, Kevin. Kevin made it on Fox News. He's gonna tell us all about this
And
stuff.
keep in mind, we got 2 new commissioners in Clackamas
I
County.
know, hallelujah,
John
praise
Ludlow.
Jesus, that's, the 2 conservative crew candidates.
It took some doing to hold their,
All them in there. So we're seeing the whole can of worms, how this whole thing is developing?
Yeah.
That this is all a centralized voter registration. It starts, the election fraud's committed before the elections even started because we've got so many fraudulent people. So what if, from what Edmund saw, Edmund witnessed them taking one of the boxes out of the drop box on 8 o'clock on election night and driving to the elections office and then taking off with one of the boxes. But yet it's reported at the county that they've got all the boxes, all 4 of them, but he witnessed them taking only 3 in. So
Well,
what would stop them from taking the ballots?
Well, when would the 4th one arrive?
We don't know what happened. I have to honestly
We don't
say
know.
that
We
we
don't
don't know
know,
what
but
happened to
it's
the
weird.
4th
It's
We
one.
never saw the other car.
The other car just ditched
I never
them.
saw it again, but I didn't hang around there
I
for
went to
much
the
longer.
Oregon website where you can see if your ballot got registered. If it's registered, they counted it, right?
Well.
Yeah, but this is
you
what I'm
missed it.
saying. What if, here's another, a lot of this is supposition, hypothesis, and stuff like this, based on, I do these recounts to like stick a pin in the pig and see if he squeals. And see what bothers them. We found out in 2010 it really bothered them, and they found out again this year that it really bothers them that we would want to destroy the 8 leftover unused ballots at 8 o'clock on election night.
All right, that was just too much.
Yeah, they spent a whole day
4 lawyers.
fighting, 3 lawyers actually, to fight this, and then the corrupt judge liberal judge sided with them after James Brilliant. They argued.
It was too confusing.
It was too
What it
confusing.
really meant.
I just don't know. That's destroying, but God. So anyway, so what happened was that what I'm thinking is possibly happening. So we know that they need those leftover unused ballots until after the certification. We know that the printing company. I've got to get you the information about the printing company. Oh, got to get a little bit more information. So anyway, my theory though, real quick with these drop boxes, the possibility that they might be doing this is, what if every day, I found out daily for the 5 days leading up to it, they go every day to pick up the drop boxes. They just go every 2 days leading before that. And they go about every hour on, or very close to it, on election day. So what if I go with my buddy and we pick up the ballots, we take them to a secondary location, we scan in the barcode so we know who voted, and we give them credit for it because we want them to not be any the wiser that, yeah, I turned my ballot in there and they counted it. And then they just duplicate all the ballots.
Lisa, I'm gonna sidetrack here.
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Edmund.
We're like little nice running around in circles looking for some fraud that's going on, and yet it's going on all the way across the country in many different ways. And there's, like I used when we used to fix television or something like that, usually, or whatever, there's many different problems sometimes in fixing a TV. What we got here is multitude of problems, and one of the biggest problems I see, being back at the convention and stuff and watching how things went and how this vote went down, and we've explored, I've seen this for three elections, where one election for the George W. Bush, where the computer shuts down. George W. Bush is like 300,000 or 400,000 in advance. Computer shuts down. George W. Bush, 3 or 4 hours later, is now 300,000 or 400,000
Or Chris Dudley,
So
or.
what we're dealing with here is a computer manipulation that's going on all the way across the country.
2008, didn't they have 4,000 show up in Clackamas for, what's his name?
They had more.
But I sat
count.
down and had a bet with a guy named John Fund, basically, who was a Fox News contributor, in my house, and I bet him $500 that basically Obama would win. And he said,
Really?
oh no, this is not going to happen. I said, the reason it's going to happen because it's going to be voter fraud beyond your wildest comprehension. We lose this election every time. Because
And we're gonna
they use
continue
a
to-
computer to
And
do
you're
it.
darn right, and this is why we have to figure
And
this
the
thing
computer
out.
is easily manipulated.
Mhm.
It's easily
Instantly.
manipulated on a national level, and I think it went across at least roughly 8 states that went down. And I told
And you
people
know,
that
and you
every-
know.
Yeah, they have, everywhere we showed, Romney showed the ID, we got, we won. Everywhere we didn't show ID, we lost, okay?
And Romney won big in those states.
Yeah.
And and Obama barely wins.
The bottom line is this vote, any discrepancies should be called out to be moved. Oregon, on a state level, yes. In other words, we need to start over. We need to have ID. And the only way, I'm with the voter integrity group that reps to True the Vote group. I went to, I've been to their conferences. And anyway, which is over, the last one we had was in Texas. And anyway, so we have to have ID nationally across the country. The computers, they're not. We have to count, we need the paper trail in each county, 36 counties in the state. We need a paper trail in every county. And the county people have to count the vote. And we got to get SEIU out of our voting system, period. They are socialist. I had one guy, I got an argument with a guy at State Fair, and we were arguing back, and he guy's a military guy, and you know, he's SEIU, he works for SEIU, and he's working for the union, and he says, and I said, you know, you sound like a socialist. He says, I am a socialist. We have
And they're
been
proud of it.
occupied by communists. And I says, I'm not going to call them socialists ever. I call them communists. We're dealing with communism. There's only 5 to 15% of the population, by the way. They manipulate the Republicans left. They manipulate the Democrats left. There are good Democrats out there. It's just they've been infiltrated. And the leaders of these socialist operations that we're dealing with, I think Rod would agree with me, we're dealing with communism here. They're about ready to take over our country. And they don't have any problem cheating.
Oh,
Any
yeah.
way they can.
Right,
And they
yeah.
always forecast what they're doing a lot of times with the movies.
Yeah. And we
The
ran,
movies,
by the
you
way,
don't remember that movie, that comedy movie that came out with, what's his face, and he did, oh, there's a computer
Yeah.
fix, they fixed the election for me.
well, Rodney's about to go up.
Rodney's gonna do some-
Anyway, but
Yeah.
what was I gonna say?
What were we about to say? They're communists, and then we'll get back on track.
Well, it's gonna be really hard though, because, you know, like right now, the Oregon House is run by Tina Kotek, and they're so proud of her that she's, you know, she's this, open lesbian, and she's the most powerful woman in the Senate, or in the House, and Oregon is just, there's no way we're gonna get a voter ID.
Back to basics. This country was founded on with the federal government does one thing, that's war and interstate commerce. Two things actually. War and interstate commerce. That was it. The state's supposed to have power. I ran an ad, okay, on this voter fraud issue. Maybe some of you heard of it. How many?
I did.
Okay, so we ran 450 of those. Okay, and we ran 450 of those 60-second spots, talking about how they steal the vote. What do? I run a company that I have to market nationally. Okay, you know, and so I have to advertise in all the states. We can target areas and make people aware. It's called media messaging. We have to start and convince people that their vote is being stolen from them. Secretary of State's got big windows. Bill Bradbury reached thousands of records on voting right now. We have to use the media to do this. Get all our stuff on a real short script and hit them and hit them and hit them and hit them on every issue. We did 19 stations, 450 plus on 19 stations. So that had an effect. You remembered it. We run it again, they're gonna.
What is the deal with these, why do you have all these discs and stuff up like that up there? What are they for?
Oh, those are the old zip drives that we still use in the ballot counting system.
They go in here?
Go over
Oh,
here.
how does that?
So this is as old as this technology is. You have to use zip drives to save the results on each individual machine. That way, if there's a power failure or something like that,
You also
it's
have the
all saved.
results, so you
Yeah.
have a double check.
You basically have it saved so that if there is, because you don't do the accumulated totals until 8 o'clock election night.
And then these down here, that'll print out, when do you use these printers?
Well, they're used,
For testing?
no, these are used during the whole election cycle. You've got two different printers. One is a log file of what all the actions are that the machine is doing, and the other is disconnected until election day, and that actually has a way, it's
like a
spitting
paper
out
way.
paper of all the totals that machine is doing.
Oh, okay, okay. So do you compare these totals with what's going on over here at the Unity machine?
You know,
Or do they,
Lisa,
or
I
is
think
it, it's just a matter of if you needed to, you'd have the backup kind
Yeah,
of
you've
thing.
got backup on each of these individual machines.
Okay, and how long have you had this machine? You've been working here for how long again?
Since '98, they're early 2000s. I don't know the exact year. They're,
But they weren't here when you got here.
no, it was a different
But I
ESNS.
hate to say this, that's the same model of machine I used to do in student aid.
Yeah, this
When
is
I was
not
in
new
high school,
technology.
1984,
Yeah.
83, 84,
Yeah, this is
same model.
So you don't think this is the same machines, or they are the same machines? You were about to
As
say
what?
about ESS, but these
No,
were
the-
not here when you got here
no, the
in '98.
company, it's ESNS, is a different model.
three of
This
these
this is a new, these machines, it's the
rentals.
same company, just a different model from,
Sonoma County owns
and that was
the first
2000
six.
something. I don't remember exactly.
The other
Oh,
three are
okay,
rentals.
okay. But wasn't it called Diebold before it was called ESNS?
No,
They're
It
these
was
are-
called American, what was the name of it before it was ESNS?
No,
I
these
didn't
are
think
totally
that.
separate.
Maybe
ESNS
5
is a-
counters in here on various
I don't know,
machines.
ESNS may have bought it,
I think they did.
but that's way.
But this was
that
never, the models that we have were never Diebold.
We've never had any.
Diebold.
Three of these
So you have
machines
no
are
idea what the machine name, what the company was before you had ESNS?
It was ESNS before.
Even in the '90s? Oh, okay,
And then
great.
there was
Three of
another
these
one.
machines are rentals too.
They're rentals, oh,
They
you
are
were,
not owned by Monoma County. The first six are owned by Monoma County, the other three are
So-
rentals.
Hey, so Lisa,
so 3 of them are, and then 3 of them, and the rest of them are not, okay,
so
great.
it's a little past 8:30,